I keep on thinking it's the end of the year as we know it. I hope so, right? We're getting close to the end of the year, and this is usually where I tap out for a couple weeks, take some time to reflect, think about what went right this year, what went wrong this year, and also, in regards to videos, what are we going to do next year? What topics have we not covered? What questions do people still have? So you're not going to see me for a couple weeks, but I thought it would be a good idea to do a year-end wrap-up of some of the stuff that we saw in the mortgage market that really changed the way that we're going to be looking at 2021. Okay, so first off, rates. Yes, they're still amazing. They're still low. It's still a great time to look at buying a house. It's still a great time to look at refinancing a house. If you're not in a position to buy yet, it's a great time to stack cash so that you are ready, because I think there's going to be some really good opportunities next year towards the tail end. And we're also seeing, at least I'm seeing, a little bit of a slowdown from some of the craziness this year. I would call this year, I want to almost say like FOMO, fear of missing out, but it wasn't that. And I spent a lot of time thinking about what drives the market. And of course, low interest rate drives the market. But it's also because we had a year of unprecedented uncertainty, right? I mean, who would have ever thought COVID? Seriously, who would have ever thought world economies would be shut down? Who would have thought everything that happened this year? Who would have thought? Like, I'm actually scared to say that because I know there's still a couple weeks left and I'm like, oh God, what's next? But the one thing that we saw is that through it all, people were still buying houses. And my theory on that was that buying a house is normal. It's something we can do right now that's normal. Right? We can't go to a movie theater, we can't go to a gym in many parts of the country. Dining inside, what's that? We're outdoor diners now. I mean, the whole world has changed. Travel has changed. Everything's changed. But buying a house, the basic necessity for having a roof over your head, that's constant and that's consistent. And this year did highlight that to all of us more than ever. More than ever. Your home, these walls, this is where you could be a whole year. So it's important to love where you live. And I think that was a really big driving factor this year is A, trying to find a place that you love. B, outdoor space. We saw a huge move from cities to more rural places where you could have a backyard or a pool or somewhere for the dog to run. We saw these huge shifts in the way that people live. And we also saw the huge shifts in the way people work. And from my perspective as a mortgage originator, that's very interesting. My team has been remote. Oh gosh, we've been remote for a long time, guys. We were remote before COVID just because of who we are, right? I try to find the best people in the country. I don't care where they live. I don't care if they work from home. If they love clients, if they're good people with strong ethics and they work hard, come join me, right? So we've been working remote, but we've seen huge industries that you would never expect to work remote to go remote. So we've seen this huge movement towards remote working. We also saw so much volume in the mortgage industry that we did see mortgage companies, we all felt some pain this year. I mean, one of my friends, Boom, that's his nickname, Boom, he posted this great thing on Facebook, and it was a guy drinking whiskey, and it's like, I remember when 40 hours a week was my first part-time job. It was funny. That's not the exact wording, and I will have to find that graphic for you guys. But mortgage lenders have been working around the clock. I don't know anyone that isn't doing 10 to 14 hour days, many cases 17 hours. I can tell you that on my team, it hit a point where I actually stopped originating. I went on vacation, like where am I gonna go? It's COVID, because I was watching the time clocks of my employees and they were working 15, 16 hours. And that's just not what we want. People need to have lives. People need to be able to enjoy their families. They need to be able to enjoy reading a book. They need to have a life. So we've hired up a ton, so much hiring this year, so many new jobs, 14 new jobs on my team alone. And I'm so thankful for everyone who watches my videos and has called us and has given us the ability to grow in that way. Next year, I am so excited about, because I have this team that is just ready to crack at it, and they can have work-life balance, and they love the clients. So I think 2021 is going to be great, because I think a lot of the mortgage pain, you know, and as clients and borrowers, if you guys were refinancing or getting a mortgage in 2020, you know it was a little bit different, right? How many times did the lender call you to make sure you still had a job? Yeah. So it's been a different year in that regard, but there's always some positivity that comes from negativity, right? And what we've all learned is that home is something that's very important. You know, we've had so many years where people are like, well, you don't really need to own, you can just travel around the world. Can you? Not now. Or, you know, just rent, you know, don't worry about buying. Well, a lot of renters saw a lot of uncertainty this year as well. And then also, you know, there was some stuff that we saw that I think we're going to see some repercussions from, like all the landlords who are basically told, hey, look, like you can't collect rent and you can't kick them out and you can't, you know, all these can'ts because of COVID, who are now in a very bad financial position. I think that's one of the biggest negative things I saw from all of this, was watching people who had built rental empires being financially affected negatively because of the way this was all handled. But at the same point, I mean, you can't throw people on the streets. You can't change the fact that economies were shutting down. So it's with a grain of salt and a lot of thought and emotion that I leave 2020. And I don't know how you guys feel about it. You know, it's been a weird year to say the least, but there has been this huge move to home. And I think that it's forced people to reconnect with their family values. It's made people realize, that they should go travel and see their family members when they can. So that is good. That is good. So as we leave 2020, we look forward to a much better 2021. And hopefully we'll be in a position where we can regain some of the freedoms that we lost this year and get rid of some of the fear that we gained this year. And it is with all of my heart that I thank all of you guys who've tuned in and reached out and asked questions. Like, you know, the amount of people that I've talked to this year who've been so excited about learning about mortgages, I think that's cool, because the thing is this is the biggest purchase you're ever going to make, and it's important that you understand it. So this is my last video of the year. I just wanted to say thank you, say, look, rates are great, and we do have this big movement towards home and family, and I think that's really going to help us make 2021 a great year. So I hope you guys have a good one, and I will see you next year.